Hello and welcome to our special programming where we're looking at each IPL team and what will be the perfect strategy for them going into the IPL auction. Remember, each team is allowed a maximum of 6 retentions / right to match. They could choose any combination that they want, but at best they can have 2 uncapped players or at least a uncapped player. You know the drill, 18, 14, 11, 18, 14. That's what we're going to be doing. Today, it's the turn of Rajasthan Royals, a team that's had decent outcomes in the last few seasons of the IPL. Once again, if I look at their squad, plenty of things to look at, plenty of players to look at. So the team management is going to be scratching their heads, and we'll try and make it slightly easier for the management as well as RR fans, and try and come up with our own strategy. Joining me, my colleague Siddharth Gulati. Siddharth, the first question coming to my mind, I know there are a lot of players that Rajasthan would look to retain, but at what price? I think that's going to be our focus in the next 10-15 minutes. Can you think of a name at 18 CR first up?
Yeah, I can think of 2 names, but the first one that actually comes to my mind is Yashasvi Jaiswal. And I'm going to, bet big on him.
At 18 crore?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
There's one specific reason, as I said, that if you want to bet big on someone, you bet on him when the player is young. And that's the time, to basically give him that confidence that, yes, we are looking at you as a long-term option for us. And that's what Rajasthan Royals is known for also. It's one of those very few franchises is actually known to, back their players. Case in point being Sanju Samson, Joss Buttler, and for that matter, even, there have been the likes of Yuzi Chahal, R. Ashwin too. So that's where I feel that in Yashasvi Jaiswal, you have a complete package. He's an all-round batter. Obviously, he's very young, good fielder also. And who knows, a probable captaincy candidate heading into the future.
Captaincy, I'm a bit surprised with. I understand that long-term. But why I say captaincy? Because he's not going to be captain. We don't know what kind of a captain he will be firstly. And he's not going to be captain in the near future. And anyway, when we say long-term in IPL, long-term is about 3 years at best.
Yeah.
Will he be a captain in 3 years? I'm not sure. But yeah, I do take the rest of the points. And he is going to be one of the names that I'm going to consider. But will I be ready to pay 18 CR for him? I'm not sure. I want to get him, but I want to get him at a much reasonable price. But you're hell-bent on 18
Yeah,
CR.
I'm going to be hell-bent on 18. Because I know that, as I said, this is the
Not
right
Joss
time
Buttler? Not Joss Buttler at 18?
See, in case of Joss Buttler,
Between Yashasvi Joss, who are you ready to pay 18 crore for? Who do you think will go for a bigger sum in the auction?
I'm going to look at the future and it's going to be Yashasvi Jaiswal.
But I'm talking about this auction. See, if I'm Rajasthan Royals, when I decide to sign somebody at 18 CR, I am going with the assumption that there's a good chance he goes for beyond 18 CR.
Yeah.
If I want to keep him, I have another option, which is a right to match card. So assuming, let's say, I may think that Yashasvi 10 CR would be his max sort of a price. I want him. So I will keep a right to match card for Yashasvi. I go to the auction. I keep my right to match. Once he reaches his peak, I do my right to match. And even then, this time they've changed the rule where there could be a rebidding after that. But I think there will be a limit to which players will go. I don't think anyone will be ready to splurge 18. So I want Yashasvi. I can get Yashasvi, but probably I can get Yashasvi for 10, 11, something like that. I may say 6, 7 crores. And while overall 6, 7 crores may not seem too much for a team, but it comes from your big pool of 120 crore, and that may hurt me going forward. But on the other hand, if it's a Joss Buttler, there is a good chance if he goes into the auction, he goes for 18 CR. There is a good chance he goes for 18 CR. His price will go to 18 CR. In which case I say, okay, before he even goes into the auction, and if he can go for more than 18 CR, and if I can have an arrangement with him, let me get him at 18 CR. Let me keep him at 18 CR. I don't know. What do you think? If I was to ask you, we will come to the Yashasvi Jaiswal if you're still convinced, but between Joss Buttler and Yashasvi Jaiswal, who do you think will go for a higher sum in the auction? Or who do you think can touch around 18 CR?
See, I still feel that Jaiswal can, touch that 18 crore, and so can, Joss Buttler also. But then, in case of Jaiswal, if on this given day you are to ask me that, going into the auction, who is going to be a hot commodity between Jaiswal and Buttler, I'm going to still pick Jaiswal here, because you know that it is not just about investing in the player or the batter that Yashasvi is, it's about investing in the future, and that's what
But future is short term.
This is still a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
This is not a 1 year deal.
But Josh Buttler in 3 years is not going to diminish that much. I agree if you're looking at a 5-year, 6-year outlook, then I agree. In 3 years, Josh Buttler is not going to vanish, right? I'm giving an example of an Andre Russell. If I'm putting, he's also not getting any younger. But I know if I bet big on him, I can. This probably will be the last cycle. But same maybe for Josh Buttler. Right now, he is the gold standard. I am ready to pay that kind of. But I'll go with you. Fine, fair enough. If you think Jaiswal, I'm not too convinced. On the other hand, would definitely want Jaiswal. Don't get me wrong. He's going to be one of the first people. But I'm going to save a right to match card for him. I will gamble on the fact that I'll get him cheaper for 18.
Yeah.
And then if in case he goes to 18 also, I still will go pay the right to match and get him. So that option I will keep. There's no way I'm letting go of Yashasvi Jaiswal. But I would gamble on the fact that I can get him cheaper. That's the thing. But Josh Buttler is a player that I know pretty much can even go for higher. So I don't want to be the loser and I reach there and someone who I could have gotten for 80, if he's gone for 20, 21, I don't want to be that guy. So, I mean, again, it's conjecture. We'll try and answer. Maybe both can fit in. Who knows? But if I was to just do one, I put a Josh Buttler because why I'm putting his name first because both agree on this at 18.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something I agree.
So this is no, Josh B at 18 CR is going to be a safe bet. You go for it. Okay. 2 and 3. Do you have any names?
Yeah, at 2, I think it's...
You could even bring Yashasvi Jaiswal. Say if you've gone with a Josh Buttler at 18. Yeah. And if you can get an agreement with a Yashasvi Jaiswal for a 14 CR, that I think will make financial sense. You could look at that, or you have another name who you think can go for that big money. You can bring it. Let me throw in a few names, especially fast bowlers. Look, and it is usually the batters who still go for cheap. It's the fast bowlers which are tough to catch. Someone like a Trent Bolt. Do you think can fetch that kind of money?
He can fetch that kind of money, but then he will not be my second retention because I feel that, in this case, it has to be your captain who has to be your second retention, if at all, that happens. Because in case
you can get him as a third retention as well.
Yeah, you can get him as a third retention also.
I had him in mind, but I have him much cheaper because I don't think, between again, Josh Buttler, Sanju Samson, both go into the auction. Who do you think fetches more money?
Both Josh Buttler and Sanju Samson.
Hypothetically, both are in the auction. Who fetches more money?
I would still say Sanju Samson. And I'll
more money?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. See, in case of Sanju Samson, you're getting 3 things in one single player. A captain, a wicket keeper and a batter also. And let me just remind you that in case of Josh Buttler, he does not keep wickets in IPL anymore. So if Josh Buttler is to go into the auction, there is a very good chance that obviously he's going to fetch maybe around a good 15, 16, 17 crores. But then, the other teams would be mindful also that he's not going to keep wickets, which means that he would have to invest more in a wicket keeper.
Averse to keeping wickets. It's because you had a Sanju Samson, he was not. He's not averse to. Hypothetically, he goes into the auction, a team wants him to keep wickets, he'll do it.
No, but if the mandate comes from England and Wales Cricket Board that, he's not going to keep wickets, then the franchisee cannot do anything about it.
But again, if I'm spending money, I'm spending money for Josh Buttler, the batter anyway.
Yeah.
I am not, if he can give me wicket keeping, it's fine. I could even have a young wicket keeper. I'm spending that kind of money for Josh Buttler, 18 CR. I think he will get that much.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think he will. Anyway, 2 and 3 between Bolt and Sanju. Who you think? You think Sanju gets more money in the auction?
Sanju second and Bolt third.
You think Sanju gets more money? See, one thing is for sure. Whatever I do, whichever order I put, Sanju Samson's name is going to be there 100%.
Absolutely.
Why? It is not only based on Siddharth's opinion or mine. That's because Sanju Samson has already started to train under his new coach, mentor in Rahul Dravid, who's joined Rajasthan Royals. They're already practicing. So clearly they're practicing with the IPL in mind. So what that tells me that the phone call has been made. He is already part of it. We just do not know in which bracket he falls at the moment. For me, he falls in the 11 crore. I think at 11 CR, you can have a deal with him. He can come. But for Siddharth, he thinks that he's in the 14 crore bracket. Okay, I'll go. You have to agree to disagree, but we have to put the name at certain point. So we'll go with what Siddharth says. He thinks at 14 CR he will retain Sanju Samson. So fine, if you say so, we'll retain Sanju Samson at 14 CR. Okay, now you've got the third option. Now, I do not mind Yashasvi Jaiswal coming. By the way, I think Yashasvi might even get more than Sanju.
Okay.
I would not mind looking at Yashasvi Jaiswal if he and me can have an agreement. You were talking to him about 18 CR, but why even go to 18? If we can get an agreement at 11 CR, which I think is a possibility.
It's a possibility.
I'll get him for 11 CR. Why do I have to splurge? Why do I have to splurge?
Okay. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're saving 7 crores on him, there's a good chance you get him, and so you get a Jaiswal.
Okay.
I'm trying to make financial sense, and I think it is a possibility that Yashasvi would be okay with it. I know he's a young talented batter. I think you should definitely have him, but I think at 11 CR you can just say retain, forget getting into the auction, because he can go for over that. Why even get into that argument and go? Now there is a 4, 5 and 6. Okay. Now, let's get done with our one uncapped player. If you had to put one uncapped player, you could do 2.
Yeah.
If you had to do one uncapped player, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Sandeep Sharma. And he's not an uncapped player. The only thing with Sandeep Sharma is that, he hasn't been a BCCI contracted player for over 5 years now. And that's what the new IPL player revolution
not contracted. If you've not been part of the playing 11.
Yeah, playing 11 also, and also not been there, for 5 years. So just going by the impact that he has had in the IPL in the previous 2 seasons also, he's going to be my
no debate here. So we go with Sandy S
4
at 4 CR. Steal, right? Seal, done. No issue as such. Do you have another uncapped player in mind you want to fill in 4 and 5, or no?
No.
You rather?
No.
I agree with you. I also would not. There are a few. There is a Kuldeep Sen that you can look at who's done decently well, but I'm not too sure. There aren't too many other, there is Shubham Dubey who failed to impress.
Tanush Kotian also.
Yes, correct. But I still don't think that there are. Now, I'm going to take a few big names. You're left with 4 and 5. Players that we haven't gone. Shimron Hetmar hasn't come into the conversation. Riyan Parag hasn't come into the conversation. There's Ravichandran Ashwin who hasn't come into the conversation. There is Trent Bolt who hasn't come into the conversation. There is a Yuzi Chahal who hasn't come into the conversation. And there is an Avesh Khan who also had an outstanding season for them, who hasn't come into the conversation. So I've taken about 5-6 names. We have 2 slots remaining. What are you doing?
See, I think more often than not, with the choices that are remaining, I'm going to go with the RTM option there, because I'll tell you
so
why.
both 4 and 5 you're going with RTM and not retaining them at 18 and 14. Okay.
And I'll tell you why, because this is where, first of all, if I would want to maintain continuity, then RTM is going to be a very good option for me, because if let's say you're going to spend maybe 18 crore on a Chahal or maybe Ashwin for that matter, you also have to look at the fact that you have to fill your team with other players also, because these are just 6-7 players, and you'll have to purchase another 15-16 to make a complete squad. And if you fill maybe about 75 to 80 crores here, then it's going to be difficult to fill all the remaining 15-16 players for about 40 crores or so. So just to make sure that I do not have any kind of a major financial barrier if I fulfill if I fill both these options, I'm going to go with the RTM options. And if I can purchase R Ashwin, Yuzi, Bolt maybe for about 7 to 8 crores or 9 or 10 crores, I think it's going each, and it's going to be fine for me.
Okay, so who are your 2 names? I agree with you, by the way. That's exactly what I had in mind. That I am going to not splurge another 18 and 14, because frankly all the players that I spoke about here, I do not think anyone will. The only player who I think can go, if I'm actually thinking of saving, could be a Bolt. Because there's a possibility fast bowlers we know go for a big price. And if I really am desperate to have Bolt, and he had decent numbers to show as well, then I'm okay spending either 18 or 14, whichever bracket you fit him in. In fact, if he's the only one, then it'll have to be 18. Then I'm kind of thinking, but I agree with you that I gave it a thought, even for a Bolt. I'm saying no, I'm going to use 2 RTMs because there are many players that I want to keep, but RTMs will allow me to keep those players without having to spend either 18 or 14. So even I'm going with it. Fine. So that is an agreement we've had. So now who's your 4 and 5? That's a tough one. We've got 5, 6. There's Avesh, Yuzi, Ashwin, Trent Bolt, Hetmeyer, so many of them that I spoke about. Who are you going with?
See, I'm pretty much full with the batting that I have. Even wicket keeping is sorted. You have one good pacer also. So I'm going to go with 2 bowling options here. One is going to be Yuzi and the other is going to be Trent Bolt.
UZ and Trent Bolt. And you're not going with Avesh?
No. And this is where I feel that you also have to see that obviously, Avesh would fit into any team. That's not a problem at all. But you're already having a Trent Bolt as a seamer. And Trent Bolt, we all know, I think he's an established performer. The best part about having an overseas bowler in a Trent Bolt is that the availability is not going to be an issue, because any which ways he does not play for New Zealand anymore. So that's where, Bolt, a proven performer, an experienced performer, this is where he edges out Avesh.
So see, now we'll have to do a bit of a compromise, because I do not agree. So one slot will have to go for you, one slot will have to go for me. I'll tell you why. Because you're missing one name that I think is definitely going to be part of the Rajasthan squad going forward, and his name is Riyan Parag. You may want to pick him or not, but you know how much the franchise loves him. Even during his worst days, he was played in the 11, let alone be in the franchise. Now he's firing on all cylinders. Again, that young player, no chance they're letting him go. So, in fact, the first name that I'm going to keep for right to match is going to be Riyan Parag. They're going to go for it. Whether that means that you miss out on a Avesh or a Bolt or a Chahal, I do not know. That we can debate when we reach to 5. But I think Riyan Parag for Rajasthan will be non-negotiable. He's going to be there. Trust me.
I agree with you.
So there is Riyan here. They are going to go for him. Obviously at a RTM, I think is the right way, unless they retain him. But I think RTM would make sense, because you could get him cheaper for 18, 14 sort of CR, right? So that is Sun. Now let's debate. You've got a UZ Chahal. I'm kind of in agreement with you. You've got a Trent Bolt. I'm kind of in agreement with you. There is an Avesh Khan, which also I'm kind of in agreement with you. So that, but if you had to put one name down, though, let me tell you, these three also could be in consideration. What Rajasthan might do, they may have a figure in mind for each of these players. Till that time, if they get it in their price bracket, any one of them, they might go for it. If it exceeds, then you anyway back out. But we just have to, for our sake of putting 6, who'd be that first that they'd want between a UZ Chahal, Trent Bolt and Avesh Khan?
Bolt. As you said, fast bowler.
I would actually
overseas fast bowler.
Yeah, but I was actually thinking of for a Avesh as well. But because, here I got my way and you backed me on that, and I'm not really disagreeing with you. So I'll go with your pick of a Bolt here. Your pick. Though I'm also split between UZ Chahal, because again, a rare commodity, does very well, but did not have the best of the seasons last time around. I know that that's the one thing that will go against him, but overall an IPL legend. So, okay, fine. This is what we've kind of agreed based on our discussion. We think, still not to say that they will not go for an Avesh or a UZ. They could, because not everything that you hope will go your way in right to match. As soon as somebody goes really out of your budget, you'll have to let that go and use that RTM for someone else. This is what it seems like for us at the moment. Let's just total it out. So there's 18, 14, 11 and 4. That's 47. Let's give it a figure. Let's go
maybe
10.
12 crores each?
No, that I think is a bit much. I think I'm going, let's say Bolt 12, Riyan for 8 you could get.
8 or,
so okay, let's do 20.
20.
So,
67.
Yeah, we are at 67, right? So 67 CR is what they have spent, which means they're left with 53 CR. 53 divided by, so this will be 6 players, 12, right? They'll have to do 18. So 4.4 CR they will be left with now on an average for each player. Now they have to get 12 more players minimum to do their squad of 18. 4.4 CR left for each player, which I think again is a healthy number, which means you could still get some 4 or 5 big guns at 10 CR or something like that, but whatever money you lose for that extra 6 odd CR that you're playing, you will cover that up for the remaining 5-6 players that you may even get for 50 lakh, 1 CR, 1.5 CR, 2 CR, pretty much that, uncapped players, mix and match. So I think 4.4 on an average left for the remaining 12 players, I think pretty healthy. They should be able to make a good squad, could also carry on that, look or the feel of the squad that they've had for the past few seasons, which always augurs well for any team. Anything you want to add? No, that's pretty much done. But if you have an opinion, as all of you have had, some have been very kind, some have been not very kind in terms of our pick. Well, we'd love to hear that. We love all sorts of opinion, whether you agree or disagree or, you know, have a different outlook to us. But do let us know. Give us a like if you're watching our content. That would mean a lot to us. And that's the only thing that we really ask for. And yeah, share it with your other cricket or sport loving friends, and even they can join in this entire debate. For the moment, from Siddharth and I, bye bye, take care.